welcome back. I'm Annie, and this is my show, Omni-Anonymous. And in this series, we've been discussing a fun thought experiment and kind of a challenge if you want to participate. And that's, we're pretending that the Great Pyramid of Giza is a giant quantum computer. And then we were talking about ways that we could get the Great Pyramid of Giza, just as it is, to generate electricity. So part one, we discussed the parameters of the pyramid. Part two, I presented my hypothesis that I've worked on for quite a while. And now this is part three, and we're going to discuss how on Earth could the Great Pyramid of Giza possibly resemble a quantum computer. Seems a little outlandish, but this is just a thought experiment. This is just for fun. And as it turns out, quantum computers really aren't much like the computers we know and love and use every day. They're quite a bit different, and they're all kind of outlandish anyway. So with the hypothesis that I presented about how the Great Pyramid of Giza could function as a power plant in a closed system, so you couldn't just turn it on. The state of the Great Pyramid of Giza is too eroded, and it's missing a lot of its, it's missing its casing stones. And it is no longer a sealed, closed system. It has been broken into. So you couldn't really turn it on anymore, but all of the elements for how I presented my hypothesis, they're already there. You wouldn't really have to change anything. So if we could build a new Great Pyramid, then we could turn it on. So in my hypothesis, the middle chamber of the pyramid forms a giant fluid battery. It's a different setup than any of the batteries we currently have, but it's the same science behind it. It's just a different setup for it. But what that battery is doing is there's water vapor throughout the pyramid because the heated groundwater from, you'll have to watch part two of this series if you want to get the whole rundown. But so there's electrified water vapor throughout the porous limestone of the core stones of the pyramid. And the water vapor itself is fueling the battery, and then the battery is putting electrical charge back into that water vapor. And the porous limestone is creating something of, they would call it like a lattice, holding the water droplets set distances apart. So it's creating something of a false material. And with the chemical residues that were found within the pyramid, the chemical residues, even though they're disputed, all of the different possibilities are actually electrolytic material. So those sorts of liquids, fluids, vapors are going to like to hold electrical charges. So you have this electrolytic fluid held in a lattice and electrified. And this could create it could do a couple things. It would create somewhat of a false piezoelectric material, and it would create this crazy electricity loop of this constantly electrified, constantly rejuvenated, constantly fueled it's not gaseous, it's a vapor, but it's like a vapor held in a lattice and constantly vibrated And this could cause the electrons themselves in the electric activity to act like a quantum mechanical system. And having electrons act like a quantum mechanical system is one of the hypothesized ways to have a quantum computer. So you would have this all over the lower part of the pyramid. In the upper part, these vent shafts would actually release the pressure and release a lot of the vapor, creating a humidity bubble around the Great Pyramid. But in the lower part, you could have a quantum mechanical system of electrons. And then for information storage, so that would sort of be the information transfer, the quantum processes of a quantum computer processor. But for the memory, one of the hypothetical ways to store memory in a quantum computer is in sound. And I know that's like, what? But in quantum mechanics, every particle has an associated wave, and somewhat conversely, every wave has an associated particle. So sound does have a particle, and the particle is called a phonon. We're really, this is rather the frontiers of science. We're still trying to figure that stuff out, but it is hypothetically possible to store information in sound, and you have this constant sound happening in this pyramid because you're constantly electrifying piezoelectric rock. And when you electrify a piezoelectric rock, it vibrates and gives off a very constant, quite loud sound. And then you have a sound amplification chamber, and you have piezoelectric resonators. So I know it seems crazy because it just looks like a giant pile of rock. But this giant pile of rock, under the right circumstances, really could model a quantum computing system. So I thought that is just a fascinating thought experiment. So hopefully, because there's so many other ways that these hypotheses could come to power production, and I bet there's other ways that you could come up with how it could relate to quantum computing. So if anybody wants to participate, I would be super excited to hear your ideas. This has been such a fun activity for me, like a giant puzzle. So if you like, you can present your ideas in the comments below. You can make your own YouTube and put the link below. I will include some further information about the topics I discussed in the description. And if you would, you could like and subscribe. Yeah, and I'm Annie, and this wraps up our thought experiment on the Great Pyramid of Giza. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.